Do you know the difference between a client and a customer in a real estate transaction? Do you know what dual agency or transaction brokerage means? Today, we're going to explain the different types of real estate brokerage relationships when buying or selling a home in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Today, we are going to go over a brochure that we are required to give prospective buyers and sellers at first substantive contact. It is called the South Carolina Disclosure of Real Estate Brokerage Relationships. We have a lot of clients that move here from other areas and have not purchased a property in South Carolina yet. While some states have the same or similar relationships, some are different. It is important that you know what services will be available to you when you purchase here in Myrtle Beach.
First, let us start with the term broker in charge. This is the person that is in charge of the real estate brokerage firm. South Carolina has brokers and salespersons that must hang their license with a broker in charge to be able to practice real estate. So when you work with a broker or salesperson, you are legally working with the firm your agent works for, not the agent themselves. For example, Frank and I are brokers with RE/MAX Southern Shores. So when you work with us, you're working with RE/MAX Southern Shores.
A second important thing you must understand is the difference between a customer and a client. If you choose not to sign a formal listing or buyer agency agreement with a firm, then you are a customer of the brokerage firm. Even as a customer, we as real estate licensees are required by law to perform basic duties. These duties are: 1, to present all offers in a timely manner; 2, account for money or other property received on your behalf; 3, provide an explanation of the scope of services to be provided; 4, be fair and honest and provide accurate information; 5, provide limited confidentiality; and 6, disclose material adverse facts about the property or transaction within our knowledge.
As a customer, the brokerage firm will not act as your agent, and you should not expect the brokerage firm or its licensees to promote your best interest. Clients receive more services than customers. So what does it mean to be a client, and how do you become one?
Sellers become clients by signing a listing agreement, and buyers by signing a buyer agency agreement. Both of these must be in writing and establish the terms, agreement, and obligations of both the client and brokerage firm. Tiffany, why don't you explain the client-level duties the real estate brokerage has once someone becomes their client?
Sure, Frank. So we refer to it as old car. Obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accounting, reasonable care, and skill. We also can now give advice, counsel, and assistance in negotiations.
So this is pretty straightforward so far. To sum it up, a buyer or seller can choose to represent themselves in a transaction or hire a brokerage firm to represent them through a written agency agreement. But once you do, become a client. Where people are sometimes confused are the different types of agency that can occur at that point.
You are correct, and this is where South Carolina may differ a little from other states. And this is important for you and your agent to know where you stand before going out to look at homes or selling your home. Let's explain why.
Once you're a client, there could be either a single agency or dual agency relationship. Single agency is easy to understand. For example, our firm simply represents you as the buyer, and a completely different firm represents the seller. Everyone has the utmost representation, and there is no conflict of interest.
But typically the confusion comes when we discuss dual agency. So here's the most common circumstances that this will come up. Example 1, we list a property and begin marketing it. A buyer client we already have, or one that we gained through our marketing, wants to put in an offer on that property. In this scenario, Frank and I personally, as well as our firm, are representing both the buyer and seller in the transaction. Number 2 would be our firm has over 100 agents. So a buyer client of ours is interested in seeing a listing that another agent at our firm has on the market. They decide to put in an offer. In this scenario, Frank and I represent only the buyer, and a different agent represents the seller. But remember back to who you're signing the agreements with? The brokerage firm, not the individual agent. So because the firm represents both buyer and seller, it's still a dual agency situation.
This is especially why we must discuss this up front and get your permission as a buyer to see properties listed by us or another agent within the firm, or as a seller to show your property to our buyer clients and allow other agents within our firm to show your property. Now, at the time that both the buyer and seller want to go to contract, both parties will have to sign either a disclosed dual agency or designated agency agreement stating that they understand they are no longer in a single agency agreement, but now in a dual agency situation.
But Frank, what does a designated agency agreement mean?
If you still would like to receive all of the client level services, but want to make an offer on a listing within your realtor's firm, the broker in charge of the firm can designate individual agents to represent each party. In this case, each agent can again do things like advise and negotiate for the client. The broker in charge remains a disclosed dual agent for both clients and makes sure that each of the agents they designated are fulfilling their duties to their respective clients.
A final type of agency is called transaction brokerage. In this type of agency relationship, the buyer or seller never becomes a client, and the firm simply provides customer service. The transaction broker could be, for example, a listing agent that represents the seller, but simply helps the buyer fill out offer paperwork.
Or it could be an agent that represents no one in the party but agrees to facilitate the transaction with customer service level assistance. Not all firms offer this type of agency relationship.
In South Carolina, it's your choice on how you want to be represented. However, it's important that you know your options so you can make an informed decision.
We hope this video helped to guide you in your home buying or selling process. Be sure to subscribe to our page so you don't miss out on other weekly videos we release.
And let us know what questions you have and what you would love to hear from us on. We'd love to cover those topics in the future. Happy house hunting.